The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about, say it with me, Latino everything. That's right. And today we have another marvelous episode. Make sure you go and subscribe. Go give us a comment, like, and thank you very much for the ones that already do. We really, truly do appreciate it. You don't understand how valuable that is to me. So thank you. Now, we have a very special person here. We have a content creator, event creator, and coordinator, world traveler, mother, gamer, borderline video vixen. She claims she doesn't know anything, but she does know a lot. She's been featured on magazines here in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area, as well as different podcasts. Stephanie Joanette. Is that how you say the middle name?
Yeah, Joanette, but the French version is Joanette.
Joanette. Oh.
I confirmed that in Paris.
I took 2 years of French. So Joanette. I can say that. Okay. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Good.
Welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you for having me here.
I know you have some stuff going on, but like your commitment just to be here, it means a lot to me. So I'm probably going to say a few times during the podcast, but it means a lot. Thank you. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. If you're a fan of the podcast, you already know what it consists of. If you have not watched the graphics, what you waiting for? Go check out the YouTube channel so you can see what Carlos put together. You ready?
Yes.
I don't know if you're ready. Tacos o tortas?
Tacos.
Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Oh, can I pick both?
Okay,
Okay,
we'll go with both. Stack at the same time? Or
That's how, when I get
Yeah.
fajitas, I always get corn and flour. I never,
Really?
only if they're homemade though.
Yeah, true that.
If they're store-bought, I prefer corn.
Yeah, true that. Gorditas o sopes?
Sopes.
And Mexican coca o jarritos?
Coca.
Okay. Agua de horchata, jamaica o tamarindo?
Jamaica.
Nice. Salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you like spicy?
I don't like spicy, but salsa verde.
Team salsa verde all day, every day.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Menudo o pozole?
Menudo.
Churros o flan?
Churro.
Churro, okay. Valentina, Tapatio, Cholula, hot sauce.
Valentina.
Valentina. Paletas, you know, the little candy pops,
Yes.
de sandía, elote o mango.
Elote.
Elote. Okay, and the conchitas, the pastries, corn tortilla, what the heck? Corn tortilla.
Corn tortilla.
The corn flavor, no. The brown ones, the white ones, or the pink ones?
The pink ones.
Okay, great. And when you hear the word Latino, what comes to mind when you first hear the word Latino?
Just passion and food and culture, family, music, dancing, bright colors.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And do you consider yourself Latina? Do you care if anybody labels you as Latina, calls you Latina?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm very proud of my background. So.
And you Mexican American?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So I had asked, you did your homework because a lot of people ask about these 2 questions, but I never send something back. And it helps me with kind of sort of cater to the interview for the persons being here because they're the ones that, you know, a lot of times we forget to ask the same repetitive questions and people get tired. So I like to ask if you have anything that you wish I would ask, and you did. So first question was, what do you admire the most about yourself?
So I asked that, or I told you to ask that,
Yeah.
or whatever, because I tend to be really hard on myself, and I really like those 2 questions really took me into a deep dive for myself. And I think what I admire the most about myself is my resilience and my perseverance. I know, like, on social media, like, around, you know, in public eye, like, I'm always joking or I'm always posting a lot, but, like, people don't really know, like, what I've been through and my way to, like, buckle under pressure. Like, under pressure, I do well. You know, like, I'm freaking out and it's chaotic inside, but I do very well. And I love how when there's something that I feel uncomfortable with, I can walk away and not let it bother me. Now, if I care about it, it'll consume me. But if it's something that's just very superficial or topical, I'm like, okay, you did this, I feel this way, it made me uncomfortable, or whatever the situation is. And then I can be like, okay, bye. I am no longer going to place myself into that realm anymore. And I like that I'm like that way because I don't sit there and, what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't sit there and like, let it fester. I just, I again, observe it and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. And then and it helps me too as a person. And I take everything as a lesson, so to speak. So I like that about myself. Tunnel vision.
I mean, I think it's a good condition because a lot of people sit on just like letting it fester, letting it grow and create whatever it could come out of it. Like whether it be illness, whether it be all the kind of feelings that you might not want to have. And the fact that you be able to address the matter immediately, because I'm the same way. I don't like to wonder if I have an issue, I want to address it. Not that I enjoy confrontation, but at the same time, if it's not addressed, like you're right, whether it's not too important, I'm just going to let it be. But if it's important, I'm going to address the matter, whatever questions or concern I have until things are cleared, and then I can move on or we can be on our way separately.
Yeah.
So
I don't like to dwell. It's unhealthy for you.
It is. And honestly, like this life is super short, whether we want it or not. Like we are so fortunate if we get to see 80 years on this 4-point-something billion years that this earth has been here, right?
Yeah.
So if we so happen to get to see those, to waste time on certain things is really, really not beneficial for one. So you're right. Sometimes you just have to, like you said, pull the trigger a lot, even though I don't shoot guns anymore. But you know, pull the trigger and just get it over with. You know?
Yeah, I to kind of like just a little bit more on that. I heard Elon Musk say he gave up, his assets or his homes so he can focus on, having a way to get to Mars, right? And so when I heard that, I'm like, well, what's my Mars? And peace for me is very important. So it took me a long time to have that mindset, but now like I see like my children being okay, my close friends, like I've learned to really like hone in and not let anything else really penetrate that space because it's so important to me. So that, my perseverance, just the way that I am, my resilience, I feel like I'm wax paper sometimes. Like, okay, you can try, but you're not gonna, get in and because I know my focus is bigger than that.
Yeah, and no, you're right. It does because people do want to live freely on your space, whether you want it or not. They really want to freely live in there without no reason whatsoever. And one is the one that dictates whether you give that time or not.
Yeah.
And be like, nope, I don't think so. Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
So, how does your children motivate you?
Oh my gosh. I know that I told you to ask that, but it's just, I have 2 children and they both in their own way have really taught me a lot of things. And I got pregnant very young. So I feel like they're watching me grow and I'm watching them grow and we're growing together.
Right.
My daughter, for example, she's a survivor in my eyes. She's been through a lot of things. So seeing her be able to accomplish a lot of things and, really dig in her mind and see her how she is as an individual and growing up, it motivates me as a mother and as a person out here in this world. Like, wow, like if she can do X, Y, Z, even though she's dealt with these other things, like why can't I do that? Or, and now that she's getting older, she's able to put me in my place. And sometimes I'm like, why are you doing that? But it also inspires me and it motivates me to learn more about myself or just dig deeper. And the same thing with my son. He has a very complex mind. Sometimes he feels like he's not good enough, but he's actually, I feel like his IQ is very up there. He's just hard on himself. So the times that I have been able to have those deep talks and like, let me live like Christian, because he's very all over the place. Like I try to live how he thinks and just like kind of go with his flow. And I find myself learning a lot, by him. And, they tell me things that just make sense that I'm like, well, why didn't I see it that way? And I love our relationships because we motivate each other, we teach each other. And then it's not me being like, oh, you need to do this, this, and that. We're very open, type of family. And I mean, I don't know if that's really like them motivating me. I love my relationship with my kids and they're the sole reason of everything that I do. Whatever I do behind closed doors, whatever I do, in public, they're always in the back of my head. And I want to be better for them. And a good friend of mine said, we walk so we can teach our kids to run. And that's just kind of like what I live by.
Yeah. So without going too much into detail, you had done a video with your daughter.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. Y'all can go check about what exactly is it that she's talking about. But the only thing that I disagree on the whole conversation that y'all had is the part where you said survivor, because to me, she's thriving as far as whatever needed to happen. Unfortunately, it happened, but not a survivor mentality to where she's just not. Of course, there's always going to be like, walls and defenses, but to motivate you to see further and see that she's doing better and she's being a creator, she's an artist. I don't think it'll be a survivor's mentality. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I disagree whenever I was watching it, which was very touching. If y'all interested in looking it up, y'all can go check out the interview that they put out there. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but that's the only disagreement that I had. And the fact that y'all were able to talk about some person that I feel that in the Latino community, it does happen. And sometimes we want to look away like it didn't happen. And I'm referring to abuse. It's not okay.
Yeah.
So people need to be able to address it and be able to have accountability for it and not pretend like it never happened.
I think, fortunately with us, when we found out, like she has an army behind her.
Yeah.
And going through that, you learn a lot. I, we did group counseling sessions for the first 6 weeks of, going through the investigation and everything. And Hispanics are the number one, abusers.
Mm-hmm.
They're number one, sexual abusers in our community. And we put a lot of things under the rug. They don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And my prosecutor, he was Latino, and he told me, like, you'd be surprised how many mothers or grandmothers don't believe their children. They choose their spouse or their brother, or whoever was the, perpetrator. They choose them because, or they will believe the child, but then they still keep them around in the family. And like, for us, that wasn't an option. Like within the hour that we found out, we're like, you're done. And it was definitely a domino effect. But at the end of the day, the vision, the reason was to make sure that she was protected and okay, like come what may, we'll figure it out. You are not welcome in our home anymore.
Right.
And I thank you for giving me your perspective and opinion on the survivor thing. I say survivor just because before, she had to survive. She was dealing with hell at such a young age and didn't know how to communicate that. It took her 10 years to communicate that. She didn't know how to say it. So every day of her life, she was living in terror and in fear. So she would have to figure out ways to how to survive, just even get to the end of the day or going to sleep. You know what I mean? And even, I know that she's even told me, and she's here, you can even, talk to her about it. Her story has helped save some of her friends, lives that have gone through that too. And she's had to, she would make things in her head like, well, how do I get out of this? Or, I even told me at one point that she wanted to have a knife under her pillow, but she had to think things through and process things. This would not be she at such a young age, at such a young mind, had to find a way to survive her day to day. So that's what I meant by survivor. But I like how you put it too, because she is thriving, and people that go through that can go one or two ways. And she's definitely, she's told me before, I'm not happy that happened, but there's nothing I can do to change it. So it happened for a reason, and it helped me become more aware as a person. So now I know what to look for out in people. Now I know I'm smarter. I'm more vigilant, things of that nature. But yeah, it's a sad thing, and it's unfortunately very, very common.
So again, we have to be able to talk about these things and have them addressed, especially talking to a profession that said that we're the highest or one of the highest. That's not okay.
We are the highest.
We are the highest, and it's not okay. And even as a Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to, it's not okay. It's not okay at all whatsoever. And then sweeping under the rug and whatever the case might be, not addressing the issue, we just continuously create another cycle of the next person and then the next person, and we'll never get out of it. Just like alcoholism, just like, anybody that's a drug addict within the same thing. It will be the same exact thing if y'all don't address the issue to resolve and take care of it, because it will create a cycle over and over and over. You know? So let me ask you this though: how do you feel whenever you find out? And of course, the father of your kid. And we're not going to address it because he's not here. But I just want to get your perspective as far as how you felt, because again, I'm pretty sure counseling helped. But how did you feel?
When I found out, my instinct was my first instinct or my reaction was rage. It was the worst day of my life, but it was the best day of her life, because she was liberated. Right. Exactly. But I didn't think about that in that moment. Mm-hmm. I almost killed him. And that's a feeling that I've never felt before. And it was a weight lifted off my shoulder because I didn't have a good relationship with him. It was betrayal. It was grief. It was sadness. It was like, what are we going to do? He was a financial provider for my mom, my family, my brother, my son, my daughter, especially my daughter. And it's just like all these emotions in one instant. And my reaction was to hurt him, get him out of the house. My brother, the way that divine timing, I believe in that. And it happened the way that it should have never happened. But the way that I found out, or we found out, I feel like happened, and probably the best way, because had I found out, him in the act or me alone with him, I really feel like things would have gone south and he would have ended up hurting somebody. So I had the right people there. And, I called my boss at the time and I was like, I'm quitting. I don't care. My thought process was to make sure that everyone is okay. And I was not going to leave my family aside. Mm-hmm. And then I went to a very dark depression. But I also, I couldn't let that be seen because I had to be there for my family. I had to be there for my kids. I had to be there for my daughter. And, of course, as the days went by, it was just, I remember how the process was, but that initial rage and anger. Yeah. And then I called the father of my children and he came immediately and took the kids over to his house, and regardless of our differences, we're there for our children. And, you don't want to fuck with him. He's, and I feel like the kids were safe with him. Mm-hmm. And I also felt, I'm shaking just thinking about it. It's okay. But I feel shameful, and why did this happen? And how did this get, out of my radar, and how, and I didn't want to believe it at first. Mm-hmm. What? But there was not one moment in me that I didn't not believe my daughter. And I was like, she's saying this for a reason. And it changed everything. It changed everything. Everything.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's really, really tough, but I know that somebody can learn, as your daughter's story has helped other people, because within the video that y'all did, I didn't see your perspective. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you talked to other people, but I didn't really see that part. And I wanted to touch on it to hopefully know. So how did you come down and finally kind of sort of seen what you needed to do, what the next thing that you needed to do, and the steps that you needed to make sure that there was justice?
So the first day was shock. Mm-hmm. The next day, I had a conversation with her father, and I didn't even think about calling the cops or investigation. I didn't even think about that. I was just like, we needed him out of our life. And then my ex-husband was like, we need to press charges and we need to pursue this. I'm like, yes. So the next thing we did the next day mm-hmm. was go to the police station, open up an investigation. And then it took about almost 3 years to even get a date for trial.
And CPS had to get involved.
CPS got involved, yes, mm-hmm. which was very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Just because when stuff like this happens, they analyze everything. And not that there's anything wrong with either households. It's just, why are we even having to do this? Why are we even here? And I remember looking at the documents I had to sign, God, and I would cry. But we started the process, the very next day. And, it was a long 3 months. I remember, I didn't work for 3 months. No one worked for 3 months. And, she was going through forensic, investigation. She was getting questions, psychologists, prosecutors assigning, people. Like my mom and my brother were still trying to like end the ties with my father as far as like getting his stuff. And he, gave up all his worldly assets to us. And like he never said he was sorry. He never, and so, but that moment he died in my head, like, but to see my family like go through their transitions, it was a lot. It was a lot. And my kids are living with my ex-husband, like they weren't at the house. So like I'm yearning for my kids. I'm wanting them to be there. I couldn't, really stay over there. He has married, he has a wife and kids. And I was going crazy, and my dad was living down the street with my grandma. So that's when I ended up starting music. That's when I started to go. I was working obsessively. I was working at the dealership. I was, doing hair, and then I started to do promotions and concerts, and that was my bread and butter and my distraction, to try to just get our future, just to figure something out and how to get things into place, Okay. And then,
Okay, so the steps you took was, even though it was tedious and it was invasive almost, to having to see that you know that that's the things that you needed to do to make sure that the process got started, and to be able to press those charges to finally get the date so things could get moving for you out to get justice on what had happened. Correct? Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure that I get that before we move on to the next part. I actually do it. I know it's tough, and I know it's not easy for me to ask those questions, but I really feel that somebody could really benefit or at least speak up, because I had somebody before talk about domestic abuse and things like that, and kind of sort of what are the steps, or where the thought came to where you started kind of processing where can I start moving and creating a plan or something to get out of that situation, and they were able to share. So of course I wanted at least to touch up a little bit on it, because I don't want to reopen the wound, but I know that healing, working and healing kind of helps you better and make it easier to talk about those things, to where it's gone. So I know you still, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a continuous process to work on it, but I think you're doing a whole lot better, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for even asking. Like, you're the first person I've ever really now publicly talked about like my side of things, and how I was. But the crazy part is, again, like CPS, you mentioned, they closed the case early. They're like, you guys have a phenomenal household. With cases like this, they don't normally see that. And that was very bizarre to me. I'm like, why are these kids even in that position, And I don't know, it was a lot of learning lessons. Definitely a wound that's never going to close, but, scar tissue. And at the end of the day, like from 5 years ago to now, from 5 years ago when you found out to now, like it's been, substantial change, and it's been positive.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. Okay, so that's how you got into the music industry. But when was it the first actual, or who's the one that invited you to even begin to get in the music business?
So Smooth Vega was the one that invited me to get into that.
Y'all know each other personally outside of anything?
Yeah, he gave me some tickets to go see the game concert.
Just randomly gave them to you?
Yeah.
Were you friends outside?
No, we weren't friends. I think we followed each other, but I didn't really know him. I don't know if I won. No, I don't think I won a contest. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember going to go get the tickets, and I never really talked to him after that. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for the tickets. I love the game. And I went, and then I think he had posted something like, if you're interested in doing this, or he had reached out like, hey, I'm getting a team together for Premiere Live. If you're interested, come through.
As a promoter?
As a street team, or, to help. Yeah, no, not as a promoter, but as a street team. And so I was like, fuck it, I have nothing to lose. Like, why not? And, I've always had friends in the industry. I just never really worked in it.
Right.
But I've seen it from afar. I'm like, that'd be kind of fun. Like, I have social anxiety, but still, like, let me see if I can, make some money or learn something or whatever.
Right.
And he ended up hosting a meeting at the Ridgely Theater, and I I didn't take it seriously. I was drunk. I had been drinking. I had a friend that her uncle worked at Joe T. Garcia's, and I had the margaritas there are strong. And so I was drunk. I pulled up and I'm listening. And then, after that meeting, something had changed in me. And the Cap G was the first show that, that I worked and that he had going.
What venue was
it
that?
Was at the Rail Club.
In Fort Worth.
Yes, this was 2017.
Okay.
And so anyway, like he wanted a street team. He wanted to get people together, but I really started to take leadership, but that's because I wanted to be distracted. And, so I was like, okay, y'all need shirts. Cool. I'll buy the shirts. Y'all need this, and I was really hungry to just distract myself and learn something. And Vega and I became really close, as far as like he took me under his wing and taught me a lot of things. And he saw something in me early on. And that's how that started. And then I was, we worked a lot of tours, and we had other people there that
Right.
worked with us, and it became a thing. And I was like, what is this? This is kind of cool. And he allowed me free reign to do a lot of different things. And I learned, and I was good at it. Like I was good at I can run a concert with my eyes closed now. Like. And at first I was very nervous, like, oh, how do I even sell tickets? Or, and what really like stood out to him, I sold probably like 50 or 60 Ashanti and Ja Rule tickets, physical tickets. Like not even artists out here do that many. I'm like, well, I'm just hustling. Like I'm just trying to, get the money to come in. And it was a good payoff. And he ended up letting me work backstage. That was my first time working backstage like that, setting up the green room. I picked up Ja Rule. I picked up Ashanti. From the hotel to the venue, and I was so nervous. Like I went the wrong way with Ja Rule. In Dallas, he's like,
notice?
Yeah, he's like, grr, like he's like in his voice, he's like, you're going the wrong way. It's like, I'm sorry. Like literally, Siri was telling me to go that way. He's like, it's okay, baby. Yeah, like with his raspy voice, he called me baby. And so like his whole team was so thankful with me. Like, thank you so much. And then Ashanti and her team, I picked her up, and I think Ashanti was the first person that I picked up, then Ja Rule, but I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, hi, how was y'all's, flight? And then her mom's like, we just literally are going from the hotel to the venue. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm just like driving, and I'm like, fuck, like don't wreck. Like it was crazy for me.
Don't
it was
wreck?
crazy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy.
That is freaking funny. Okay. So we get back into it, the other one, because I missed the question that I had earlier, because you had an incident where you had a picture, or somebody was posting something that if you tell your story, that they will be able to give you a huge portrait, and it turned out that it was not the case. That's not how they were actually trying to upsell you. So what I didn't like is the fact that trying to kind of sort of touch something very personal, and then you pour your heart out on whatever they're asking for an opportunity to win. Then they tell you won. And when you get there, the process or whatever they tell you wasn't that, and then the final product is not even that. Can you tell me about that? Because I know not only one person, but all the people reach out to you about the same issue that you had.
So the place that I went to is called Park Hill Fine Art Portraits. And someone had tagged me and, said, you should do this. And I was intrigued, and I was like, okay. And then I ended up having a conversation with somebody from there, and they're like, hey, like, we heard your story. Can you elaborate a little bit more? You're a single mother from what I hear. Can you let us know like what's, going on? And, we're doing this free giveaway for single parents.
Free giveaway.
Yeah, it's a free giveaway. And so, I didn't really do my research or look at reviews or comments or anything. I still really haven't. And so I was on the phone with this lady. She's like, yeah, we're giving away this 55-inch portrait of, that's fine art. It's on oil canvas.
How many inches?
55 is what they told me. She said it was like the size of a TV, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, she's like, but we need to know your story as a single mom. And I was like, okay, well, I dropped out of high school. I got pregnant young. I've worked XYZ. We've been through this. But at the end of the day, like I was able to make, about 6 figures with no high school education. Right. I don't really, I hate that term single mom. I just feel like I've been able to work and to be who I am, you know, with my kids as we grow. And then they're like, yeah, like, you know, yeah, like we want you, like what a nice story, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know, thank you for like letting me be vulnerable with you and letting you know.
Yeah.
And also, can I bring my brother and my dog and my mom, because, you know, they're really huge into raising my children too. Like, it hasn't been just me. They're a huge part of, you know, their life. And like, yeah, we can get it done. So, you know, I'm real like anal and like, okay, guys, we got to get this outfit. This is a color scheme. Like, I had my makeup appointment booked, you know, hair, makeup, outfits. Like,
And those things are pricey.
Yeah, like I spent about $600 total with like getting the outfits, you know, my hair and makeup. My mom didn't want to get her hair and makeup, but I had her things booked. And, you know, getting the dog and all the stuff and just like scheduling a time.
Yeah.
And I should have known it was a red flag, because they're like, well, you need to put a $200 deposit down. And you need to book, you know, within the next week. And I'm like, well, I can put the deposit down, but if it's a present and a gift, why do I need to put a deposit? Like, oh, it's to secure your spot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so I put the deposit down. Fine, we get there. So it was really like $800, you know, and then I got the deposit back.
Right.
My mom is excited because my mom doesn't really go anywhere. My mom is like, you know, we're sitting in the lobby. My brother is excited too, and the kids, and we're just all there, and the dog. And we do the pictures, and the lady's like really good and professional. And you're like, oh, you guys look like a beautiful family, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then we get into the room to go look at the pictures. And it's like, okay, well, the free portrait that you guys are getting is about this big. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute. And then she started to like, they showed us the pictures like, oh, you guys look beautiful. They're showing us, like, we're all excited, like, wow, like those are pretty. Wow, we like that. And then and I was like, okay, well, what does the free, you know, portrait look like? And she told us it was a small one. She's like, but we have these different sizes, and started off at like $3,500 for like a 10 by.
$3,500.
Yes, all the way up to $35,000. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
And you know, my brother, like and they use your excitement and your feelings, and like I'm just like observing the whole thing. And my mom was like, oh, these are pretty, but no, like we don't want to pay, you know, because she's like, and they put it on the wall so you can see what it looked like. And you know, and my brother's like, well, I can put a deposit down and it'll be like $600 a month, you know, for 24 months, blah, 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 if you want to get this size. And then something like hit me, and I was like, hold on, no. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like, I'm really disheartened right now, because my mom started crying, and she's like, I can't believe this. Like, we can't afford that, you know? And I was like, you said that this was a 55-inch portrait, which free. And I'm not here to try to get anything for free, but you guys said that this was a gift. You guys used my story. I was vulnerable with you guys. Like, I let y'all know. And you guys are taking advantage of us, and I'm not okay with this, you know? And my mom was just like, my mom was really upset, you know? And I'm like, we got dressed up. Like, we had a family day. I was like, you're getting my mom's hopes up. And I was like, I'm not okay with this. Like, you need to make something happen. So she ended up upgrading it like a couple inches more. So we ended up getting the free portrait, and I feel like they just figured my face on purpose. I'm not crazy.
The double chin you was talking about?
Yes, I know my angles, and I know I have a double chin, okay? But that was not like, even my daughter was like, that's not, she's like, they did you dirty, Mom.
It
doesn't look like me.
It looks like it was altered. Like something was purposely done.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And I called them, and I let them know, thank you for looking at it. And I let them know. And supposedly they're fixing it, but she's like, well, it looks very similar to the original picture. And I was like, no, it doesn't, because I have the original picture. She's like, you weren't supposed to take pictures. I was like, well, I didn't trust you guys, so I took videos and pictures of what y'all had on the wall. So don't try to play me. But
see, what I like is the fact that they're preying on their story. You having the story that you're having it vulnerable, and not try to get a hand-me-down, but this is the exchange, right? We'll give you ask for the story, you have a contest, you're doing to help single women with kids. So I did my part, and y'all turn around and give me the part that y'all said y'all was supposed to do. You know, it's a contest just like anything else. Like, it was an even exchange. I don't see the problem, and the fact that they're trying to upsell and then I seen the post coming on my feed too, and I sent to you. I'm like, that's not okay.
No,
because then other people started hitting you up.
Yeah, I had a lot of people hit me up like, this happened to me. Even like customers, you know, I had a girl, she lives out in Rockwall. She was like, commenting hard on there. And like I had a lot of friends comment on their post and they were deleting the comments. Yeah. And then she was sending me customers. She's like, I saw your comment. What did they do to you? She's like, so she would like redirect them to me. So I had a lot of different people that they're trying to scam. To me, it's a scam. It's switch and bait, and it's not like if you're going to be upfront about it, cool. But don't try to make, someone feel guilty. Like, oh, you can't afford this or, we know you can't afford this. But you got me fucked all the way up.
In the auto industry, I'm not saying that they all use it, but some of those tactics are some of the same.
Yeah, and I come from that industry.
Yeah, so they're
So I know that used car salesman tactics. I have 100% am familiar with it. Yeah.
That's not cool.
No, it's not.
Not if you're presented that way, because at least in the car industry, you know what you're gonna go for, and you're expecting a little bit of that back whenever you're buying a vehicle, but not when it's presented in a different way that is kind of deceiving. And like you're right, I think it is a scam. Yeah. And then the guilt tripping part, I'm like, get out of here.
It's just ridiculous.
You're much better than that, because I'll be like, oh, man. Even though I wouldn't say you put them on blast that much, but just brought light into the fact that there's an issue there. Yeah. That they're preying on not only you, but other people. But I'm glad that you got something, even though they didn't.
They altered my face.
Even though they did you wrong. They did. But at least minimum, they came through. Because I think they saw they didn't realize that you had so much people that were like, they know you. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like some friends, reached out to them and messaged them directly. Like a lot of people reacted off that. I'm like, I'm glad that I vented about this, because sometimes like maybe I should shut up and not like vent and bitch online, but I'm glad that I did, because it did bring awareness.
Yeah, how is change going to happen if nobody says it? Not to mention that, like, if they did it the right way, the PR will be magnificent once it's done. That they did do this, they do offer this service, and this is for a family. Maybe not telling all your story, but this is a beautiful family, and this is what we do. It'll be beautiful PR for them if they did it the right way. But that's not cool. Yeah. But I'm glad that y'all got something. Hopefully they get it fixed 100%.
I'm hoping. We'll see.
So going back to the music industry, so what other celebrity have you picked up or interacted with working with Premier? And how many years did you work with Premier, if you don't mind me asking?
I worked with him up until January of 2019. And then I quit on him via Facebook. We had a personal issue and I wasn't okay with it. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm not working for you anymore. And it was like a mini shock to the local community. And then I created my own company.
Did you go on Facebook and did a whole...
Nope, I just said from this day forward, I'm not associated with Premier Live anymore. And everyone's like, like probably the most likes I've ever gotten. And
likes?
Yeah, probably the most likes I've gotten. And a lot of people hit me up. And that's when I learned a lot of people play both sides of the fence. And that's where I started to become a little bit more jaded with the industry. But to answer your question, I worked with many people. I worked with Royce 5'9", Joyner Lucas, Nipsey Hussle. We did his last Texas tour before he died.
He passed away, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really powerful show, or just like interaction, with him. I've done, Doobie,
Yellow Beezy.
Yeah, that wasn't with Premier Live. That was different. Wiz Khalifa was with somebody different. Tiana Taylor was with somebody different. I've worked with a lot of different people. Dave East multiple times, Cap D multiple times, Genuine. That was a really fun show to do.
Yeah,
that was really.
Why is that?
He was just. I remember, like, I think I fangirled just a little bit because I was a fan of him. And,
oh yeah.
And we were doing the meet and greet line, and like all the women are like, ooh, and he's just like kissing everyone on the cheek, and like he thought, I guess he had been drinking a little bit, and like he had kissed me on the cheek too, and like kind of like moved my lips. So like, no, like let me work this meet and greet.
That's
but
funny.
it was funny, and like he really knows how to engage, with this audience. Bad Baby is another person. Bun B.
You work with Bad Baby?
Yeah, we did but the thing with Bad Baby, Cash Me Outside, how about that? Bad Baby, she had a very strict and professional setup. Like you couldn't really go around her. Like that was the hardest writer though that I've ever had to get for the green room. Because I was in charge of getting a lot of the stuff for, the rooms. And
what is the writer? What does that mean?
The writer, the list that like, they want like towels or cookies or whatever in their room.
Whenever like I just want green M&Ms and all that stuff.
Exactly. And she wanted the cucumber melon lotion and chapstick from Bath and Body Works, and they discontinued that years ago. So I'm going all over town like, I need to get this, like, and I couldn't find it. So I ended up finding some other stuff. I'm like, she's just going to have to conform. But it was, I spent a whole day and a half trying to.
And they can really go back on their concert if you don't deliver that list, right? From what I heard. Oh, it's possible?
Yes and no. Some artists are pretty anal with what they want, and some just conform. But I mean, to me, hospitality, the way that you take care of an artist and their team really shows how much you care about. And I took pride in that. Like it's just customer service. We're here to take care of your needs and what you need because we're investing in what you need to. A lot of promoters don't like to spend money on that. But
But it is an investment though for that person to have a good experience for you to work later in the future. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, book me."
Yeah,
I love it.
I've always been complimented. I remember Davies' team, like they pulled me to the side and they're like, "You really like took care of us, and thank you for the hospitality." It was me and this other girl named Brenda. They're like really appreciative and like they made it, known like, "Hey, thank you guys. Like you guys are looking out for us," and like that meant the world to both of us because we're like, that's what we're here for. Like I have a servant's heart, like. I'm not your maid, but I will take care of you and make sure that you're good, Yeah,
it's two different things. Like, you know what I mean? Being your maid and being able to, you're comfortable because you're coming to this to do a job that we hire you for, but we'll make sure that you're taken care of. Who doesn't like to go to somebody's house and be treated the best possible? You know?
You're our guest, and we want to make sure that you're pampered and, you're comfortable and feeling okay. And, but some of these artists are a little bit ridiculous, but that's okay.
I was telling earlier somebody about the artists. I'm like, I mean, it's cool, and don't get me wrong, but I think some of their skill, and I had talked to, I don't know if you know Kat Diesel, but I talked to her about some of them is like, I'm not saying they're not talented, but they just sell you on the idea that they're just talented. They just have to sell you on it that they're that good, and that's the reason why people flock to. You know? But all you crazy fans that are like that, they're cult-like towards these people. Y'all come at me if y'all want to. I'm gonna deal with you accordingly. Like, I ain't gonna be like, just because you're a cult fan of that person, you're not gonna come at me crazy.
Yeah, don't come at me. No. Yeah.
Good. So you had dropped out of high school, and that's because of you got pregnant early, correct?
Well, I dropped out. That wasn't the reason. Okay. I got pregnant. Like it was just coincidental. I dropped out because. Honestly, I skipped a lot of school in 11th grade, meeting with, my daughter, at the time, my daughter's, dad, also my son's father. But, and I would skip school, go to Barnes and Noble and read. I'm like, I don't believe in the education system. I don't want to do this. So I dropped out because I had a lot of detentions lined up. Like, she's like, you can't graduate.
So you had extras. No.
So I had
you
Tuesday,
like school
Thursday,
a lot
and
because you had
Saturday.
extra school.
I mean, I love school. And I was top grades, like AP, IB classes. Like I was, very intelligent, but I was just like, what the hell am I doing this for? And then I found out I was pregnant, and then I ended up getting my GED after, and I dropped out. I'm like, what do I need this for? And I did my research, like Bill Gates, I think, dropped out of high school, and Madonna dropped out of high school. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not on their level.
No, but you loved it so much, you got in trouble. You got extra school. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
On.
No, hell no.
But then after that, you went on and you learned finances and accounting, and you worked for a dealership. Was that your first job, or was it the hairdressing that you did?
No, so my very first job was Sonic.
Sonic.
Team
Sonic over here. I was a cook.
Okay. I was a car hop. And
nice.
At 6,
most of my family, my brother, my sister, my cousin had worked at Sonic.
No way. Okay, so you understand.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch Jeremy the Germ? Do you remember that orientation? It's like, hi, I'm Jeremy the Germ. You got to be clean.
I don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure I saw it. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So Sonic was
Sonic. Sonic was my very first high school job.
What's your favorite drink to make there? For you? It's not in the menu.
So the Sonic Blast, I would always put the M&Ms, the Recess, the Oreo. I just mix it all up. And I'd always put on my tea, I put strawberry and lemon in there.
You know what we used to make in the kitchen? Like, I don't need
tacos.
No, I don't need any meat anymore, but we used to make fajitas.
Okay, yeah.
We used to make fajitas with the chicken.
Yeah.
So shout out to Sonic. You gotta know. But with the juice or the jalapenos and chop out the patty. We used to make fajitas. Oh man, we used to kill it over there. Like whatever we had was never on the menu, not even close.
Yeah, no. Shout out to the cooks at Sonic because they be hooking it up for us. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I always get burritos, tacos, fajitas,
and the fountains. We always got the drinks, the good drinks.
Yeah. What'd you make?
I just like the regular strawberry shake. Oh no, strawberry. The one with strawberries, slushy with
Okay.
extra strawberries.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
just,
those
it's
slushies are
basic.
good.
Yeah, I just like the basic one.
That's okay. Simple and basic is good.
Yeah. So Sonic was your first job.
That's my first job.
Okay. And then after that?
And then I worked at Spring Creek Barbecue as the bread girl. But at Sonic, I was making $500 to $600 in tips. Like I remember I had one guy who'd come see me once a week, and he'd be like, just pulling the cash out, like, "Is this good? Oh no, let me give you more." And I'm like,
"Are you serious?"
But my very first drink that I took out was 4 Route 44 coconut, the ocean waters.
Freaking big ones.
And yeah, and I dropped them. I dropped them on the car, and I was like, "Hi, my name is Stephanie. Welcome to Sonic. Here are your drinks." And I was being so extra, and I dropped them out of nerves. And I
were you on the roller skates or were you walking?
I know I was walking.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah, I was walking. I could
and they're
not.
big
Yeah,
drinks.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you don't understand what those are, if you've never
Yeah.
been to Sonic, they're like that big.
Yeah, they're huge.
They went
but
everywhere.
I never did that again.
Yeah.
But I was making really good money, and we were only getting paid $2 an hour at the Sonic, $2.14 an hour.
So y'all get paid like waiters?
At the one that I
hops?
was, because he was very cheap. The other Sonics are paying like $5.25 an hour.
Still, that was the minimum back in the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you worked as a road girl, and then what else? Where else did you venture up to?
And then
Because you got into finances and working in the dealership too, and accounting, right? How did that come about?
So I had a friend that worked at DFW Audi, which is right behind here, actually. And I started off as a receptionist, like, "Hi, thank you for coming to Audi," or,
I
checking
know
on
we're a
people.
receptionist, Stephanie. I know a couple of things in life.
Well, no.
Like, what do you mean? Oh, what is that?
Let me paint the picture for you.
Okay. I'm
That
seeing
is
it.
so funny. But yes, I was a receptionist, and then I started to see like everybody there. Like, I want to learn how to do this. I want to learn accounting. Like, I want to make this kind of money.
Right.
And so I was getting hungry, and I'm like, "Teach me what a VIN number is. Teach me how to stock in cars. Teach me." And so they were giving me the bitch work, and I knew I was doing the bitch work, but I was learning.
Mm-hmm.
And when this girl ended up quitting, I ended up asking for her position. I was like, "Let me do it. I know X, Y, Z." And I also learned the system where I showed them that they had $500,000 in invoices that were not paid for parts and service. So I ended up getting that money. I ended up getting a $4 raise. So I went from $12 to $16 an hour.
Damn, nice.
And I became the accounting AP, AR, just the clerk there, and the cashier and the receptionist still. And then from there, I ended up, just learning like all parts of the dealership, like how to do the billing or when the contracts and how to read those. And then I ended up, and I was in the dealership world for about 10 years. And then the most recent was a power sports dealership. I was there probably the longest, of 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up I wanted to quit on them. I was like, "I want to make more money." And they're like, "No, we believe in you, and we're going to create a position." So they made me a regional manager, and I had 5 dealerships that I oversaw.
Nice.
So I traveled from Weatherford to Decatur, Cleburne, Fort Worth, and Hearst, Farmers Branch, Louisville. Like, I would just help, and I learned a lot. And then I ended up getting the opportunity to do finance, and I was good at it. It was during COVID. I was making really good money. But that came with the cost, as a Latina and a predominantly American white.
Tell us about this. What were the challenges? Or what happens? Or what do you have to deal with?
I dealt with a lot, and that's ultimately what led me up to quitting.
Can you tell us a little bit about those things?
So I was making good money.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't okay with some of the people. And I would just get, customers, again, were predominantly like, as ATVs, jet skis, stuff like that. So I've had customers get mad at me because they think I'm trying to take advantage of them in the finance office, which that was not my heart. And I got called, racist things like, "Oh, you're a dumb or stupid spick, or you're a dumb beaner," or I own a construction company, so I can say this. You're a Mexican with class. You speak very properly. Like, excuse me, like, and I just look at them like, or I've gone to quinceañeras before. Is that what your culture does? Or just like little things like, why do you have to make this about race? And
why do you feel entitled that you can say that?
It was
like out loud.
It was horrible. Or, because I'm a woman, they thought that I didn't know, certain things. And even like internally with my coworkers, I started to have issues with an individual that, he didn't want to do his job and didn't want to, call the people that he needed to call. And I was still doing the work because customers that come in, I still get paid off of it when I contract them out. And he was just calling me like the C word. He was sabotaging me. He spit my coffee. He pretended to pull a gun out on me. He had cussed me out on the showroom floor because I didn't give him a quarter for a Slim Jim. And all management, I was the only female working there, and all the management was just staring. And I was like, that's when I quit. I was like, y'all, silence is acceptance. If you're not going to stand up for me and you're going to let him disrespect me like this, what am I doing here?
In a corporate environment,
in
too,
a corporate
to allow
environment
it to happen,
and
is so freaking crazy.
Aside from the racism and the sexism, some of the top managers would try to hit on me and they would sexualize me. And I remember one time, I'm not going to say his name,
stereotypical
but I
type
was
of stuff for
making
women.
copies and he just grabbed my butt and I'm like,
oh, no.
do you think that's okay? So I ended up having my homeboy coming to sit with me like for a few days in my office. Like I didn't care if I was going to get in trouble, and I'm like, you're not going to make me feel uncomfortable. And that's one thing as a woman too. I think we're sexual beings. Like everyone's,
Yeah, of course.
like that's part of
that's how we
the
procreate.
world. Yeah, and I know like I can come off some way on social media, or like I'm very open type of person, but I'm not that. And there's a lot of times that I felt very uncomfortable. And
did they find your social media, and that's how maybe they got the idea that if they seen it on social media, that they could possibly do something in real life?
Some of them were friends with me on social media, but I don't know if they found it or what. But regardless, like that's not okay.
It's not okay.
And I got in trouble, and I was told by a woman, my old boss, "You're too sexy. You can't be posting this." And I'm like, I'm not going to change who I am.
Can't help it. I was
work.
born this way.
I am so sorry.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, no, it just was uncomfortable. And like people always tell me to tone it down, and I'm not going to tone it down. Like if it makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. This is who I am. I'm not out here, being that person. I'm very confident, and it took me a lot of. It took me a lot in life to even remotely be confident, the way that I am. And I'm proud of myself. You're not going to take that from me. And I'm not even like provocative like you would think, I just, I don't know, but it was an issue for sure. And I also had a lot of women that, didn't like me or my story, like my trauma would, my life was like a TV show to them. Like it was just entertaining, and they would talk shit behind my back, but like smile on my face. And it was ugly, and I quit.
I'm glad you got out of this situation, and I agree with you in the education. Going back on that point, I really don't like, but it's impressive that you're able to maneuver to learn, because it shows that you don't necessarily have to have a degree to be able to be teachable or learn different skills. Not to mention, a lot of the times, even with a degree, you're still going to have to learn whatever steps that company, how they function to get that job done.
Yes.
So the people that don't have no degrees, again, shout out to you if you got your degree, but understandable if you know how to work and have the desire and the smarts to figure something out, you will be able to do the job without having to have that. So big shout out going out to you.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
it's not appreciated that like bringing up quinceañeras or typical stuff, like you're trying to kind of sort of build a rapport with me where you can just be a human being and talk to me as a person, and we can create the same type of rapport, all the extra racist slurs is really not welcome. I was born in Mexico. I crossed it legally. I recently became a citizen.
Oh, congratulations.
But I used to laugh. Thank you. I appreciate it. I used to laugh when people said, like, you're a wetback. And I'm like, and then I recall my trip. I'm like, I didn't get wet my whole trip. What are you talking about? You talking about me? Because I didn't get wet. I'll make sure I didn't touch the water when I got But anyways, it's not appreciated at all whatsoever. Like, why can't we just talk as people? And the other part, I hear horror stories about women. I never seen it personally. But the fact that you have to deal with that, and the fact that the men feel like they can like physically put their hands up, and it's not okay either. So don't be crazy. I don't know where that the feel that you can do that, the entitlement, is like, okay.
They can't help themselves. I actually worked with someone, he ended up getting fired because he touched my boob. And I wasn't going to rat him out, because I told him, I was like, you do that shit again, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. Like, you're not going to touch me. But someone that wanted his position told the owner, and then they ended up firing him. But a year later, they brought him back. And I already knew they brought him back. And they pulled me in, hey, we're thinking about bringing so-and-so back. I was like, I already know he brings in good numbers. He acted out of character. That's cool. I already know. And they made me work with him. And him and I made amends, because I felt bad that he got fired. Like, I did not want him to get fired. But, it's just like
the things that you have to do as a grown up to politic to be able to function. But sometimes you're better than me because I'd be like, if I was a woman, like, nah, that fool ain't stepping here. And if he steps in here and he does that much numbers, that means I'm not doing the numbers that I need to. So I better find another place. But that is just personally with me.
Yeah, it's
easy to say pretend like but I'm not. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate and it happens often, and it's bothersome.
Yeah.
Even in the music industry too, but I think fortunately it's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but I hope it's getting better, and I hope that you have better opportunities than you don't have to worry about or even having to deal with that. Going back to the things you have done, so you also have your cosmetology license.
Yes.
Did you have a passion? Did you just wanted to get another trade? Or did you kind of lose passion for doing any of the cosmetology things?
I did have a passion because I wanted to learn how to do hair and makeup, and even then, now I'm like, I'm not that good. I mean, I'm actually doing a haircut tonight.
Appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, I'm not that good because I didn't fit into that world. I thought I wanted it. I wanted to be a traveling makeup artist, and
Nice.
the idea sounded, but it wasn't. I didn't. I made good money when I worked at the salon, but I just, it wasn't for me, and I did not fit in with that type of crowd. And I still do it on the side for my family and friends. And you want highlights, your hair color, haircut, sure, come on, I'll do it for you.
That's
but
what's up.
I don't really, I keep my license current just so I can get the discounts on the shampoos.
So that's the only way to get the discount?
On the you get wholesale prices.
I get you. Okay, so some fun facts about you. You drive a stick shift.
Yes, I know how to drive stick shift.
Did you learn that on the dealership, or that's something you learned?
I learned that because the only car I could afford at the time was $189, was a Subaru Impreza, and the only car they had available was a stick shift, and I was like, okay. And but I prefer to drive stick shift. So
You have one now?
I don't have one now. I wish I did, but I do know how to drive, so it's just another skill that I have.
So the things that necessity makes you do, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't even know how to. So how do you take? Okay, so when you got in the car, did you tell them you didn't know how to drive stick?
Hell yeah, I did not know.
What did they say?
They test drove it for me. So yeah.
And how you take it out to take it home?
My father.
Okay, at that
took
time.
It home. Yeah.
And then after that, how you just started learning?
Yeah, I just started learning, and
That's pretty cool.
I remember I got stuck on a hill and I went backwards. I was like, but luckily there was no one behind me. And then it took me about a good 20 minutes to get up on that hill. And
I feel you. I know a little bit of it. I can, if I need to jump on a manual, I can, but it's not a preference.
You should learn. You never
too
know.
much.
What if you run away?
I learned. I mean, again, I know how to get the car going and get in gears, and if I need to get a quick getaway.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to have to be all the freaking time because, I'd rather not. But it's cool though. Don't get me wrong. I like the feeling of shifting gears.
Yeah, me too. I feel
Sometimes
like
I be pretending. I have my water where my cup goes, and I'll be pretending I want to you're not changing nothing. I let go of the brake the gas to get the feeling the gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Shut up, Crispin. You're not driving no manual. But it's pretty cool having to do all that. Okay, so you had a tattoo recently covered that it was at a very particular spot.
Yeah.
You finally got it covered?
Yeah, I got it covered.
So you had a tattoo on your buttocks.
Yes.
Of
Jose Luis.
Jose Luis.
My ex-husband, my baby daddy's name. I got it covered because the man that I'm in love with did not like it. And he would just always bring it up. So I'm just going to get it covered. And he's like, do it for you, not for me. And I'm like, no one has had an issue with this in my life, but I'll get it covered. And so it's blacked out now, and it's Persephone holding a pomegranate, the Greek goddess, Hades' wife, which I feel like I'm her, or she is me. But I just ended up, because I was just going to get black square. And
should have done the paint roll. You've seen the meme?
No, I haven't seen that.
There's a meme with a guy that has different girlfriends' names.
Oh.
And then he has a paintbrush going across one, and then the next one.
You're going to have to send me that. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, don't do that though. But it's pretty cool. So you got it
blocked. Black and then
out.
pink. Yeah.
So you might or might not can currently still have an OnlyFans.
I have one. I just haven't posted.
Yeah. What can, if somebody was interested for whatever reason too, because we're curious by nature,
Yeah.
what could they find if they do visit your OnlyFans?
So I like to think of it as like art, just like a little bit more sensual pictures, you know? Like I think of like pinup girlish, but I really only started that because of my feet. I had someone pay me $50 on my Instagram. He's like, "Can I see a picture of your feet right now?" I'm like, "They're all crusty and like I haven't had a pedicure." He's like, "I don't care." And he sent me $50 and I was like, "Send me $50. I'll show you a picture right now." So 4-second video and I got paid $50. I'm like, seriously? I got paid $50 just for showing my feet?
Isn't there a particular app that just deals with feet?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so. I've heard of it, but I don't think I've been successful at finding it, or because I think I looked into it once.
If I find it, I'll send it to you if you're interested in it.
Okay,
I won't. My feet are men's feet. So
there's a niche for everybody.
They wouldn't like mine.
No,
just say that.
Trust me, there's crazy stuff out there.
I heard stories about stumping roaches and gas in jars and all kinds of crazy freaking thing that people are fetishing about.
Yeah,
which is,
people are
I heard your story about the one you share about the glass with feces.
Yeah.
And that just freaking trippy.
Yeah, it was a lady that my mom worked with. I'm like, that is disgusting.
I wonder why? Like, I don't like psychoanalyzing people, but I kind of do a little bit just to see how things work or how they work. Yeah. And it just trips me out of what in the, like, where or why or what happened that made you want to enjoy that to me.
Yeah.
Like golden showers and all those things. It's just trippy to me to, like, to each their own, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it's disgusting. But to that person, for whatever is, like, satisfactory. And I just wonder what trigger, what happened? Did you hit your head? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm obsessed with, like, the psychological mind and why people do the things that they do. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weirdos out there, but that exists. And it's like, why?
I don't know either, but I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you now got to a point where you were able to, or at least were at one time, financially independent, somewhat independent, that you were able to travel.
Yes.
Outside of this country. So tell me about that, because some of the places we've been, not exactly the same, but we're pretty close to the places. So working in the corporate world, you move yourself through a better position, and you got to see other places. So your friend lived in Spain, best friend lived in Spain, and you got to visit her.
Yeah, and she still lives there.
Nice. What area in Spain?
She just moved to Barcelona, but she lived in Valencia before.
I went to Barcelona. I was in Barcelona years ago.
Okay, yeah. Barcelona is a vibe. I had so much fun out there.
Yeah. My favorite place that I visited in Europe was Italy, because it looked like a freaking movie set. Like the way that you see everything in the movies is exactly like all the stuff knocked over. Like somebody needs to pick it up. It's just there chilling.
Yeah.
And when I was over there, I went when I was in the military with a friend of mine. And when I was at the Coliseum, I had my hand like this on the Coliseum, kind of doing like this, because I was tripping, because I'm from a little small town, right?
Yeah.
Real small town. And when I was touching and caressing the Coliseum, I was thinking, I'm like, man.
Caressing.
I was literally like this. I'm like, oh my God, I'm really here. I was thinking of my parents. Like when they sit at night, and whatever they like having conversations, like, man, your kid is on the other side of the world, coming from this little bitty freaking town, and he's like literally over here touching
the Coliseum,
historical freaking place.
Yeah, it's emotional.
It is.
It's very emotional.
Made me feel really good.
Did you cry?
That. I didn't cry that moment, but now thinking back, sometimes it really makes me really emotional that I was able to do that. That we're not limited to that little town or to the U.S. We're able to do that.
Yeah.
So going back to where you were at, so what places did you visit? So you Valencia, that's where you went to visit?
That wasn't my first time in Europe. So my first time traveling, I went to Sedona, Arizona. I started in the U.S. and then my ex-boyfriend, was like, the man that I love, he was like, you should really blog and, make videos and edit them and just go travel. He's like,
so you edit them yourself?
I do. Yeah, I edit everything off my phone.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Done. I learned from him.
Beautifully done. The transitions, the B-rolls, everything that you do, man, it's nice. That's the reason why one of them had like 47K views or something like that.
Yeah, well, that wasn't all just me. My ex posted it on his story because he has a really big following, and he posted it to be like, because it's just stupid shit.
It was nice.
And I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I have all these views. but I gained a lot of different subscribers and people that still like, hey, like I want to see you, post. I've actually had people ask me like, oh, where is this place? And they've booked and they've showed me like, oh, thank you for posting this. Like I've booked here or I booked there. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I'm
That's
glad that my
cool.
video could.
Well, your other
do that.
videos do well too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All your other videos do well too. They're not just a one-off.
Yeah.
Of course, you can see the influence, but they do. So you went to Sedona, and then where else?
So I went to Sedona, and then I went to the Rockies, Colorado. Then I went to Washington, Seattle. I love Washington.
I want to go over there.
It smells like Christmas. It's beautiful.
Really? That's cool.
You have mountains, you have the forest, and then you have the ocean.
And then rain too.
And rain. Like Seattle it's very slow paced. And then I remember I told myself, I was like, I want to see a bald eagle. And like right before I left to the airport, I saw one and I cried.
Are
I was
you
like,
serious? That's freaking cool.
And then the fertile lands from Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier, like just one of the most, active volcanoes that are most dangerous volcanoes, but they're dormant, now. Or I don't know if Mount St. Helens is dormant or not, because it did.
It is. Oh, it's been for a long time.
Yeah,
but I think
it hasn't. It hasn't erupted, but yeah, because I was like, if this explodes, like this is it. Like there's only one way in and out. But it was very beautiful. And then I went to San Francisco with my kids for my birthday. That was a whole different, vibe. We had a lot of fun there.
Nice.
And where else did we go? Oh, I went to Zion, Utah, and Arizona with my brother. We ran over a deer, and
ouch.
I got so mad because my brother's like, "We need to file a police report."
Was he dead or did you hit him?
We were driving, and my brother was driving. I was in the passenger, my kids, and like the deer is just like hopped on this mountain and like hopped on the hood and like went down this cliff. I don't know if he died or not. I don't think he did, but the car was very damaged, and it was scary. I was laughing. I was trying to get footage, and my brother was just like, "Whoa!" and my daughter was laughing. My son was scared, but it was definitely an experience. And then we stayed in a cabin. There's no bathrooms in there. It was cold as hell, so we like made it work. But we would wake up and the deers were outside, and we literally were in Zion National Park. And the mountains there were just. I felt like
the air. So
the air,
much nicer.
If have you ever been out there?
I've been to Denver, Colorado, so I felt the mountain air is freaking nice and it feels different.
It is, and it's therapeutic too. Like to be around something so massive, you're like, I'm really nothing. I'm insignificant.
Oh yeah, I see that all the time with the planet itself.
Yeah.
How little it is.
Yeah, it's
like how little I am compared to everything.
We're nothing, but we're everything at the same time.
That's my quote on my Facebook.
Oh, really?
I'm everything. I'm everything, but I'm nothing. Oh, I'm nothing, but I'm everything all at the same time, or something like that.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you and I have a couple things that are
in common. Yeah, are you me?
Are you copying me? Are you freaking spying on my Facebook?
No, I know you just added me the other day, but no, I haven't gone. I didn't.
I added you on Facebook. Have I added you on Facebook?
Yeah, I think you added me on Facebook.
No, I don't.
You don't have me on Facebook?
Oh, I don't.
So maybe it's someone else then.
I need to add you on Facebook.
Okay.
Let me sure we take care of that. Okay. I added you on my other IG. I have like
that's what it was.
IGs,
Instagram. Okay.
IGs.
Yeah, I followed you back.
Okay, and then where was your first Europe trip?
So then I went to Macedonia, Skopje, Macedonia. A good friend of mine named Daryl lives out there.
Skopje, Macedonia. Where's that at?
It's like near Turkey and Greece and Albania. Wow. And it's just it's a city of statues, but my friend actually gifted me that trip, and he's like, just come, because I was crying, and I wanted to go see my ex, and he's like, girl, shut up. He's like, he's cashed at me. He's like, get your ticket, just come. I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. He's like, just come. So I went, within days. I had to go get a COVID test, all this stuff. And I cried when I landed, even though like it was a very like simple like town.
Yeah.
I cried because like, wow, this is European air. These are European mountains. And then, 6 months later, I ended up going to Spain, Valencia. And then we went to Palermo, Italy. And then we went to, I think Palermo, and then back to, and then we like traveled like the, east side of the Spain, the Spain coast. No, car.
We went to train.
You did?
I went to the train.
I bet that was beautiful. Mm-hmm.
We went through Switzerland. We passed through all that with the train and.
So you've seen the Swiss Alps?
Yeah, I think so. Passing by.
Oh my gosh!
And France and French people were rude. Sorry, French people.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
they're
sorry.
rude as fuck.
I rarely deal with people. I mean, that's just my perspective.
Paris,
on it.
people from I don't know what they're called, but people from Paris are the worst.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
got a
like
bad
us.
rep.
Yeah, they do. They're
even if
rude.
it's we're Americans traveling, but
They're rude.
yeah, they are. Because I was Mexican, and y'all still you
Yeah.
didn't give me no pass.
Yeah, no, I got left on the side. My flight got canceled in Paris, and I had to my phone was broken. My wallet wasn't my card wasn't working. I couldn't call my bank.
Yeah, your phone broke.
And the taxi driver left me on the side of the road, 2 blocks, and I had to walk and find my hotel. And I was like, Espanol, English, and they just looked at me, and it was.
They give you the dirtiest looks too.
Yes, they're
like they know they're a touristy spot, right?
Yeah.
Like that's who you deal with.
Yeah,
that's part of
so
your
you
economy.
make your money.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I feel the same way.
Good.
That's why we got a sleeper cart in some places, so we didn't have to deal with the immigration because we were kind of might have been traveling illegal because all we had is not a military ID, and we didn't realize that that's not sufficient to travel through Europe. You need your passport.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't have my passport.
Oh, what's the sleeper car?
You just sleep. You just sleep, and they leave you alone. Like they have your ticket, and they know you're good. So you get a little cart where you can sleep in. That's all it is.
Oh really?
You know how you can sit on as you travel? There's sleeper cars where you can sleep, and they have little bunks where you can sit. And I sleep there, and they don't bother you. They just know you have your pass, and that was back in the days, years ago when I was traveling.
Oh wow.
So they say as long as you have that, they don't even go and bother you or anything. They know that you have your ticket, and they leave you alone. But if you're sitting, they start checking your IDs, and
that's when you can get
somebody
in trouble.
give us a little something hint, like, hey, y'all might not want to do that. Y'all might not want to.
Okay.
And we were left alone until we got to the next destination, and we were cool.
Wow.
We were literally crossing illegally through Europe because we didn't have a passport. But we got away with it.
That's cool.
That is pretty cool, but it's not cool looking back. Now that I'm
I
a
don't
bigger
condone
adult,
that.
I know.
Just
Don't
kidding.
do it. Get your passport. But I was tripping the hell out. So
Wow.
tell me about Italy.
So Italy, we went to a town called Palermo. Palermo is where the mafia is originated, the Sicilian mafia.
The Sicilian mafia.
And, they're actually pretty racist out there. There's a whole war going on, I guess, between Italians and Nigerians. And my best friend is Nigerian. And people were literally spitting at her feet.
Are you serious?
And I got that's when Dom stuff came out. I got so pissed. I was like, they're just looking at her shoes. And I was like, they're just her shoes. Why are you looking at her? But I did my research after the fact. Anyway.
You could have got in trouble. You could have got hurt.
Yeah, no, it was, I know. But I was so emotionally broken when I was there. But it was also it was a very beautiful experience for me. But I was also Italy, we were there for about a week, and we met some friends. A friend that I have in Spain and his boyfriend were having a romantic, getaway. We ended up surprising them there. And we met another girl that's from Virginia, and she ended up hanging out with us too some of the time. But my friend Ify and I, we ended up, we ended up having lunch with the mafia without knowing that they were the mafia. And it was very thrilling but scary when I figured out oh shit, that's his hitman sitting next to him, and this is the top boss with the rings and his chauffeur. And
what gave it up that you realized who you're sitting with?
Because of
and how did they got you to the table first?
So we went to this restaurant to go eat. It's a beautiful, there's a rock in the ocean and seafood.
Recommend the house wine. Get the house wine.
Yes. So we were sitting there, and we were wearing our opera dresses, and because we were limited on our clothes, but we wanted to look nice. So we were just wearing our dresses, and we were sitting there eating. And then we all of a sudden see the restaurant clears out, and then the staff is lined up, and then this table comes in, because you try to sit at the corner table, but no, that's reserved. No. And so these people walk in, and it was a guy with a little hat, a guy with suspenders. It was just it was just very Italian. And anyway, so we're eating, and then the guys keep looking over at us, and they sent us 2 bottles of wine, and they ended up paying for our meal.
Are you serious?
And so they invited us over, and I did some research, before I went to Italy, what's rude, what isn't. And so turning down food or turning down something is very rude. It's very rude. So I'm okay, well, I'm glad I know this. And so they asked us to come sit with them because they wanted us to taste Italian dessert. We had that tiramisu, a cannoli, and this other dessert. And so we're sitting there and we're talking. I'm like, oh, okay. So they're asking us like, where are you from? And, like, oh, my friend's like, I'm from New York City. And I'm like, I'm, Mexican, blah, blah. I live in Texas.
A Texan.
I'm a Texan. And they're like, oh, and, I'm like, what do you guys do? And like Spanish and Italian is somewhat similar. So you can understand. Yep. And so I'm like, what do you guys do? And then they're like, medical. We're in the medical business. Ha ha. And they're just like looking at each other. And I'm like, and I looked at Ify and I'm like, and I started to just pick up like they're not in the medical business. And then they had wedding rings on. And I'm like, oh, you have a wife? And they're like, oh, no, ha ha ha. They're like talking to themselves and they're just very like aggressive and like, I don't know, the hip that I think is this hip, man. This is all assumed. But yeah, they just started, telling us about, or asking us where we're from, what we're doing. And then I started to get really scared because he started to get kind of aggressive with my friend. He's like touching her hair and like, oh, you're so pretty. Like, sit on my lap. So my friend's like, oh, no, not really. And he like grabbed her and like put her and and then he's like, oh, let's take a picture. And, we got you this food. And I started to like think like, oh shit, like this is definitely, these aren't just these are not regular ass people. And the behavior I started to observe the room. Everyone cleared out. They got all the customers away, but they wanted us to be there. So we stayed, and all the staff, like they had already closed and the staff was just waiting on them. And they're like, very like, their voices were shaky. Their faces were red. They were very like, like they were all like waiting, like literally standing in line, like waiting on them.
Dang.
And, and I asked the chauffeur, I'm like, he's like, oh, this man, very, very rich, very, very rich, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's cool. I was like, but money doesn't make everything. I was like, I'm sure. And I was like stroking his ego. I was like, I'm sure you have a good heart. And I was like, I'm sure you're a man of intelligence. Well, I'm sure you're smart. I'm sure you love your daughters. I love my kids. I got kids, like, I'm just like, I was so scared. And so we ended up leaving because they wanted us to come back with them to their hotel. They wanted us to hang out with them. Like, oh, just come stay with us. We didn't get on our flight. And so when we like scurried out and we hid in this, I was like, we got to hide in the store. Like, I don't want them to see us because it's a very small like beach. We're at Mondello Beach, very, small area. And we ended up seeing them like driving, and then they like, oh, and they saw us walking and they're like trying to talk to us again. I'm like, okay, well, we're waiting for the bus. Okay, blah, blah. And then we ended up booking like the most, we're like, oh, we're gonna stay another night. Let's book the most lavish hotel, the most expensive hotel, which is, I think it's like $350. It's very cheap out there. So that was lavish there. Well, we go to the hotel, and the hotel, there's no address, there's no anything. We are knocking on the gate and buzzing the buzzer, and this guy in a tuxedo walks out, and he's like, oh no, this place is closed. And it's like this huge building. And I tried looking up reviews, and there was nothing there. The only thing I saw was like, be careful of this place. They killed a dog. It's like a murder mafia place, and it was called Casa Nostra, which
Cosa Nostra. Very similar to Cosa Nostra.
And we ended up. He's like, no, you need to go to the house across the street. So the house across the street was just like this white house. It did not look like a hotel at all. And we got in, and it was just very desolate. There was no one around. I'm like, no, this is like, they're gonna come murder us. So we ended up finding another place.
And when are you planning going back? Because, man, I'm ready for another trip. I'm waiting for my passport.
You are?
Yeah, I'm trying to get I got my citizenship, but I had to submit it in. But a few months, I'm gone somewhere.
Yeah, you should. You should, especially, I know how it is to
Costa Rica. That's where I'm
it's pretty
for
cheap
whatever reason, I just keep getting the Costa Rica, go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out there, I've heard.
I want to go. But when is your next trip? Have
January.
you thought about it? So you are going. Where to?
Rome.
You're going to Rome? Well, you're going to freaking love it.
I know. I'm going to go recreate the Hilary Duff movie.
I ate the pizza.
Oh, the Italian pizza.
With, at that time, with some house wine, and just sit there, just people watch. Just chilling. I'm like, oh, man, I'm really here.
Yeah. The pizza out there is really good.
Yeah,
the best pizza of my life.
It's different.
So
now,
stereotypical.
What I liked, what you said earlier, was pretty cool that it didn't down on me as far as whenever I was there. And I think more recently when I go to different places, I'm like, I'm here. It's like I'm breathing Italian air. I'm like touching this place.
Yeah, that's like, cool. I understand because, and too, like, me too, like, I'm just some girl from Bedford, I'm here and I'm seeing all this historic. Like even Macedonia, that's where Alexander the Great was born. So they have a huge statue in the middle of the city. I'm like, wow,
That
like
fool
this
almost
is,
ruled the whole, at least Europe.
yeah. I mean,
and Asia and all those areas.
it's crazy. It's crazy. And for you to be able to be there, and there's thousands. And that's how I went to Greece in March, and I met a great friend out there, you know, and Greece was, I saw the Parthenon and I was like, oh my God, you know, like the Temple of Zeus, the, you know, even the museums and everything, like, wow, like this is ancient.
It's
And,
ancient stuff.
you know, the Western, you know, world, I forget the term, but like a lot of stuff was originated in Greece and Italy too. Rome, you know, like the
Wait
Roman
till you go to
Empire.
Rome. Wait till you go everywhere. It sucked because the Sistine Chapel was closed at the time that I went, so I didn't get to see. But everything the Pantheon, all the freaking fountains, the Colosseum, oh man, I was in there just like exploring
wow,
everything,
Yeah.
everything. Like this used to be a thing, and then when you get there, you'll understand why Romans ruled for a long time. After you step into a few places, I'm like,
I can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome.
I want to go live in Florence for 6 months to a year. I want my daughter to go to school out there. There's a school, that's where Michelangelo is from. So there's one of the top art schools out in Florence, which is, I think it's about $6,000 for a semester, I think. But, you know, I've looked into the housing out there. I can get a 4-bedroom for €800 a month.
Sure.
Like, my kids are still like kind of, or my daughter's like, I want to go, but I don't want to go. So depending on her and what she wants to do, like I'll probably do that.
That's pretty
So
cool.
we'll see.
And within that traveling that you're done, because I always think that I think it should be included before you graduate for you to travel at another place to open your eyes to the way that people do, like just live a regular day. It's not nothing like one does it. And when you see it, it opens your perspective, your mind into the way that they operate. Did it work for you? Did those things happen to you as far as like seeing different places?
Yes. When I came back here, I was walking everywhere, you know, like, oh, it's 3 miles to get there. I'll just walk, you know, and people are very healthy, and just like the food, the culture, like I love it out there. I love it. It's very, you know, like I was talking to someone like, oh, that's called what you call a humble flex. Like, I'm not trying to flex. Like, it's just eye-opening how people live out there and how easygoing it is and how much they pay attention to your mental health, and they have siestas, you know, during the day, or like they don't believe in working as much as we do here, and everything's affordable for the most part, you know. And I don't know, I loved everything, like the nightlife, the food, the culture, you know. A lot of people speak English out there, surprisingly, so it's not really that hard to navigate. You know, and I learned a lot, like everywhere that I've been. Like, it's just public transportation. I suffer with social anxiety and like doing new things, and my friend taught me how to like take the train or take the bus or how to look for XYZ, and I'm like, wow, you know, like I would never do this in Bedford or Dallas. You know, it's definitely very different.
Yeah, and it's not only about that as far as like the touristy places, but like I've been to the Philippines, Manila. I'm from a small town, and then that little town itself, it teach you how to appreciate, because you know I grew up with an outhouse, not a restroom. So even going back, you know, there's no outhouse anymore. There's a restroom, but still you have to walk everywhere. And then I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm sorry, Iraq and Kuwait. But you can see those people are living differently as far as like their daily life is nothing like we have it. We have it super easy compared to everything.
Yeah.
But the negative things, or you can say is negative, is that we're always all about getting money and working money and this and that. And for whatever reason, when I went to Spain, Barcelona, they had a whole week of everything was closed. They had some kind of, I don't know what kind of festivities they have, but everything was closed. And there was only one little store that we were like, hey, what's going on? Where's everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, like we have a whole whatever. Like nothing's open for like, what? What do you mean? We're here
like,
to see other stuff.
I need groceries. I need to go to the museums.
Care. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Everything will work out. And that's what I'm saying. They have a lot of downtime, and we're so focused on, or get kind of sort of like kind of sort of shaped into thinking that that's important. Bust your ass for this company, do this and that, get as much money you want. I'm like, but it's really not the way, because they don't live like that.
It's bothersome. Like we're a very superficial country, and over there, like you can wear a tracksuit. A lot of people wear tracksuits out there. Like you could wear, you know, sweatpants and a big shirt and chanclas, and you're like good to go. Like I went to the club in my chanclas. You know, like people aren't paying attention to what you have. They're paying attention to what you are.
Yeah.
And over here, it's like, oh, I got Versace, or I got this. And, you know, I'm going to work and make, like, it's just very different. It's a very different lifestyle of what we are here in America.
Very true. We are. So is Blex Entertainment, the channel, is that your company still, or is that something that you used to have or you were part of?
So it was a company that myself, Campion Bond, and then a girl named Brenda, we all came together and we decided to, Blex stands for Black and Mexican, because Camp is Black and Brenda and I were Mexican. And so now Camp is the official owner of that company, and he does a lot of beat battles, a lot of, you know, podcasts. He's really taken that under his wing and like has made it, you know, a thing. But yeah, I am no longer associated with it. I got burnt out of the music industry, and I was like, I'm done. I want to spend time with my kids. You know, I want to be able to learn finance and spend time there.
Right.
And I just really got tired of, like, if I'm being real honest, like the local talent and the attitudes that came behind it. Like I got tired of just, you know, dealing with that, because I don't like to deal with things. I'm like, I'm not.
And it's crazy because we hope that y'all get into a better position, but y'all really not in the position to get crazy with people. You know what I mean? As far as accomplishments, like y'all haven't like got there yet, and y'all always bickering about stupid stuff instead of collaborating and growing the market to where, you know, having out of towners come over here and get this money, y'all can get the money, but this little stuff that people get tired of, y'all, you know, people get like, no, you're not there yet. You haven't made it. More luck to you if you do, but you can tell that you're probably not gonna be a great person if you do.
Yeah, and that's the mindset that keeps you where you're at too. Like if you think that way, because there's people out here doing it big that are, I hate saying like local talent, just people that live in the area that they're from here, but. What did it for me was this artist, you know, she was like, I need a bottle of water. And I was like, okay, well, go buy one. Like, it was at the show, and she's like, she just gave me this look. I'm like, I'm not anyone's bitch. Like, I'm not in, like, who are you? Like, you're here on our show, you know, like, you're here a part of this. Like, I'm not here to cater to you. Like, I'm trying to work and make money and make sure that this event is going right. Like, I'm not here to, don't talk to me like I'm a peasant and that you're superior to me, because you're not. You know, like, you don't know what it took for me to even be here. Like, you're not going to talk to me that way. And I treat people with respect. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And I remember I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm done. Can I cuss? I'm sorry.
We're good. Sometimes you just got to let it out and express. So, yeah, I mean, because for me, one of the rules that I have for me, not a rule, but it's kind of like I don't look up to no one. I don't look down on no one. Like, I see everybody the same way, and I treat everybody to the best. Maybe sometimes you catch me in a weird mood that I might just give you a weird look, but it's just no intentions behind of being a mean person. But yeah, it gives me I don't know what, whenever I see people being abusive towards other people or being this, I'm like, man, I wish you would have said something to me. Like, dude, you're not going to address me in that manner. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not going to check you, but I'm going to make you aware that you're speaking to a person. Yeah. And you don't forget that regardless of, I don't give a freak if you're the president or whoever, you're not going to talk to me. And I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Be respectful. Yeah. Respect is earned, you know?
Absolutely.
And be humble. Like, no one's better than anybody here.
And sometimes I don't really care for the respect part. But I think if you treat everybody as a person, that respect never even gets brought up because it's already understood. It's already understood. Yeah. There's no need to have, you better respect. No. Yeah. You already have that just by recognizing somebody's a person. It never has to be a thing about like respect because you already know what's up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. What's understood doesn't have to be said. Yeah. And, absolutely. You know, we don't have to be, you know, rude to each other. Don't treat me that way. And I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. So you're pretty much done with, as far as music or festivals right now you're working? Or
I'm jaded. I'm jaded from the industry for a lot of reasons. But I did like retire, you know, a few years ago, and I got out of it, and it was very peaceful for me. And now, like, some people have wanted to hire me to do shows, and I somewhat committed. And then, like, I saw that I either didn't like how their work ethic was, or, you know, I didn't, you want me to do everything, and your perception is that you think so you don't want to pay me, or you know, whatever the case may be, like with certain individuals or certain people. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, like I'm not going to be able to be a part of your project. Like I'm done devoting and giving my time to other people and working for other people's dreams, you know?
Yeah.
It might sound selfish to me, but it's definitely been draining. So to answer your question, I'm not actively, you know, seeking to work in it, but if some people want to contract me out, and if it makes sense, you know, I'm open to it. Like in, you know, Smooth Vega has been talking to me about possibly, he says that he has his jersey for
I've
me.
Seen the story that
and
you
so
shared.
I'm like, what does that mean? You know, and
I think you know what it means.
and he wants me to come, like he's, you know, explained to me, and I know he'll vouch for it himself. Like, I miss your work ethic and how, you know, we work together. And he's like, would you be open to helping me with the show or whatever? I'm like, let's talk about it, and, you know, we'll see. Like, I don't mind, you know, if I can do like a la carte shows, fine, but I don't want to be committed to anything.
I don't think being selfish is such a bad thing, right? Because you really do. You're the only thing and person that matters at the end of the day. Like, you can't help anybody else if you can't help yourself, if you're not all the way 100. And if you can't be selfish towards that to fix yourself, how can you be an expression to anybody else and add to whatever they got going on?
Yeah.
But I think for me is that you had the same problem I had, that I'm always part of a team, and it doesn't work out until I have my own thing. This is my baby.
Yeah.
This is me.
Hey, I don't like to interview with people.
Yeah, I know.
And I know that you I like your work and how you are. So, and congratulations on having your own thing. Like, you know, it's big, and I feel like you're doing pretty great on this. Like, I've watched and I observed, and the people that you have are of quality. And not that anyone's any less, but you know how to do your research, and you know how to bring a good platform.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It means a lot just to hear the feedback on it. But that was what I was getting at. My point is that I was part of groups, not realizing that here in the industry of radio, because I've done radio and like community radio and different things like that. But one of the main things that Sammy, the owner of Fishbowl, which she's worked with K104, Kiss FM, all them, and she owns this building, but not the building, the station. But what she said is that whether I wanted it or not, I was always the driver, meaning that whether you want to steer away from, you are the leader of whatever it is that you're doing. You can't you can play that part, but you understand where your true nature is at. And that's the reason why, even though I played my part, it was never mine all the way. And even though I fully went in, but at the end of the day, it wasn't mine. It was somebody else's thing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I couldn't stay around there forever, because of the same thing, that I was feeling guilty, or not guilty, but like jealous, but it wasn't mine. I had to step away. But now I can give it full force to this. And maybe you needed to do your own thing to be the one that takes credit for everything and contract the talent that you need. And of course, if it makes sense for you, then pay you for the things that you know.
Yeah, I've been especially recently, I've gotten a lot of phone calls and messages from a lot of people that I've respected in the industry. And they're like, hey, Steph, like, I see XYZ. If you decide to do your own thing, which I think you should, we'll be there to support you. And I'm like, wow, like, thank you for even bringing this to my attention, because, you know, I get filled with doubt. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, like, why do I find myself in these situations? But then again, like, I just don't put up with anything. And if I feel uncomfortable, I'm going to walk away. But, and so like, and some of, you know, my close friends, and again, people in the industry that I've respected, and, you know, that, you know, they're pretty big names, some of the people. And I'm like, thank you for even taking the time to tell me that I should do my own thing. So I've been told that before. I just,
but you know, like, you see it, right? Like, you know that as a person, there's the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, I see it, but I see it, but I don't. Like, I know what I am, but I also, like, I don't know. I often think, like, I wonder how, like, the outside world views me, because I don't know how. It's hard for me to translate that, you know? I just know that I'm a passionate person, and I'm good at what I do, and I have a genuine heart when it comes to a lot of things, and I don't do well with I guess everyone says, like, the fake crap, you know, but I just try to stay as true to myself. I am true to myself as the best way that I can. And I mean, I don't see what other people see. I just know that, you know, but then I've thought, like, well, you know, because I did get offered, you know, hey, I want to invest this kind of money. What if we brought this artist? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to I don't know if I want to do that just yet. But if I do decide, like, I'll keep that in mind, And
it's just enough. I mean, it's not that I
Yeah.
know you or anything, but just from my perspective, it's my experiences of what I've seen. I feel like kind of mirroring the things that you've done and been part of and why it didn't work out. That's the reason why I was messaging you certain the things that you analyzed, and then maybe that's you weren't meant to be a part of a team. You were meant to build something for it. Again, I'm not saying that you should or you would, but I'm just saying maybe that's the reason why it can kind of sort of don't work out all the way.
Yeah, I can agree. There's been some instances that I've worked with people like, and we've gone joint, and then it turns into them, or to one, from joint to one person, and I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then you don't need me here. So I'm just.
But at the same time, maybe they took that as far as putting themselves front and center, but who is really doing the work?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I've had that happen a few different occasions, in different circumstances, different events. I know what I am at the end of the day. Yeah. I know the work that I put in, and I know the truth to a lot of things. So I can sleep at night. I don't have to outshine anybody. I don't have to take credit for anything. I don't have to be validated, and that's just how I feel about it. Like I wish everybody well. Anyone that I've personally ever been involved with, I wish, them well, and, good for you. And I'm just to go do my thing.
Yeah. If you ever do that, that would be amazing if you do, if you're not. But again, I feel like you could, and not only that, but the ones that you consider experts see it that way. So if you ever do, if not, then, live your life.
If I do a show, I'll invite you. Come out.
That's what I was trying to get at. If y'all didn't know, y'all see that work? No, I'm just kidding. Of course not. But again, it's just personal experience for me of what I know that had happened to me, that I see the reason why I could see it, and it just like your mom, like, how to lead. You're not saying that you're a follower, you have to play your part, but after a while, you're going to have to drive. Yeah. You need to be able to do your part and leave whatever you want to of the things that you learn and leave your stamp for you.
Yeah.
Just an observation, opinion.
Well, thank you.
The things that I don't know.
Encouraging.
I don't know, but I've seen, and I know that other people that are more qualified seen too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna we love it here. I could talk to you forever in a day, but we do have to cut it short.
Okay.
Give me all your social media real quick.
Stephanie.Joanette is my Instagram. I really just use that. Facebook's more personal. And then I'm on TikTok, same.
Hope I get friend request accepted.
Oh, yeah. Send me the request. And then my YouTube is Stephanie Joanette. And I go, like, my website, like, my whole brand is I don't know, IDK what I'm doing.
.org, too.
.org. Yeah. I have my website thing. And it's just like a personal hobby. But I've done a lot of things without having the professional experience. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just make things happen. So that's what I've always gone by. Like, oh,
but that
like,
instinct,
how do you do
though,
it? I'm like,
that instinct to know exactly what you need to. You know?
I've been very blessed, and I've been able to accomplish a lot of great things for just being myself. So I like that. But yeah, that's my social media handles.
Okay, and one other question real quickly. If you were to tell your younger self something that you learn in the music business or just life in general that you would tell somebody else that would help them, what could that be?
Oh, this kind of question is so hard for me to answer because I don't want to sound cliche or anything, if I was talking to my younger self, I would just tell myself, brace yourself and just get through it. Like, my son told me this. He was like, the only way to get through it is to go through it. And I was like, that makes sense. And, I kind of live by that now. Just, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard for me to answer that or like come up with an answer, but that's just what comes to my mind right now.
Everybody's different, but if that's what it is, that's pretty cool. But your son is very, very smart for that comment because I don't know where it came to me the other day where we want to, like, I don't want my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, nobody to go through some hard things at all, nothing whatsoever, to have the most easiest thing. But then I think about the things that I have to go through myself and think, like, I wouldn't be able to grow without having to go through those challenging things. And who am I to deprive them of having to go through their own challenges, even if it's hurtful? But what happens? Like, usually when bad things happen, good things happen to you as a person and you grow. Who am I to try to stop their growth and their personal experience? How are they going to know how to handle things if they don't go through the things go through to get to a better place? Even if it's hurt because it's a loved one of yours. But again, you don't know what's going to happen to, but actually you do know that it's going to be good, and they're going to keep progressing, and they're going to have experience, and they're going to be a better person after that.
Yeah.
You know? So after I'm there, my family, for me, they know I got them, but I just look and absorb, and whenever I can, whenever they know I got them, but I know that they have to go through it, and it's understandable, and it's going to be okay. You know? Pressure makes diamonds, even the fake ones.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
That's what I learned at Mount St. Helens. Like, a volcano creates fertile lands, and it's lush lands, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it makes sense. Like, you know, life is always evolving. There's no, to me, feel like there's no answers, but as long as you maintain a good foundation and keep everything as a learning lesson, it'll help guide you.
Yeah, I got one more question. This
Okay.
one's new, and it's kind of tough, but I want to know your perspective, because I usually wake up with a saying, I'm not immortal, I am mortal, and I will die one day.
Ooh.
And I usually say it every day because it is true, not to scare me or whatever, but it is a reality in life. Eventually we're going to part ways, and it's okay. It just happens. But what would you want people to feel at your funeral whenever
you know, that's something that I think about often is me. I would want people would want them to feel okay. Like, I don't want there to be sadness, you know? Like, I just want them to know, like, I would want them to feel okay. And, like, if I have impacted them or inspired them or helped them or, you know, bring any type of light or lessons, you know, just embrace that. Like, just remember me, who I am. And not a lot of people get to see my I'm very closed off. So not a lot of people get to really know me. And so if you are there and you got to see that, just like cherish the moments that you've had with me. And I've thought about, you know, like, I haven't had that conversation with my kids, but I've thought about having that conversation. Like, if I do pass away, like, don't cry, don't mourn me, like, remember me and remember what I've taught you, and just let me live through you, you know? It's making me a little bit emotional, but yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
It is. And not to scare you, because I heard something about, you had mentioned that your kid was scared of that, particularly you leaving. So I just kind of made me want to create this question. I'm going to say my part because it's the first time I asked this question, and I'm never going to do it again. I would hope that people are joyful to know that the life that I lived and the person that I was, that they're very happy knowing that when I left, I was good. And if so happened to be that they cried out of joy, knowing that wherever I'm going, I'm going to be like, man, I'm going to be so good, regardless of whether and I'm getting emotional too, for the same reason, because that's what I want them to feel. Yeah. You know, because I do carry myself in a very specific way with no ill intention. So I just want them to smile. And if they cry, it's joyful that, man, wherever he is, like, wherever he gone, whatever there is, it's like, man, he's pretty sure smiling and cracking one of them dad jokes. And he's not even a dad. You know what I mean?
Going out on the lawn on Sunday morning. You're not even a dad.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I don't like mowing my lawn. I'm that type of Mexican. I'm not.
Yeah, me too. We hire paisanos.
Hey, shout out to the homies, man. I appreciate y'all work so much. But this Mexicano right here retired, even though it was a Mexicano.
Yeah.
Even though I became gringo when I got my paper, I still don't come out here. I'm just saying.
Hire someone.
But shout out to y'all that do. I'll be more happy to provide for y'all because y'all willing to. Okay. I mean, amazing story. Dropping out of high school, having to, you know, learn stuff yourself, and then being able to travel the world and be impactful in the events that you worked. Without a shadow of a doubt, Stephanie, you are a global Latin factor. So you're a global Latin factor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And one last question, again, full of questions. If somebody was to Google you or search you in some kind of search engine many years from now, what do you hope for them to find?
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to answer that.
You're Googleable, by the way.
I am Googleable.
You can find you.
Barely.
You are there.
You know, I live my life, and I hope people can use my testimony and my story. You know, I'm an open book. I'm open, but I'm not open. But anything that I've allowed to be shared and seen, like, I just hope that I can just, you know, it's so cliche, but like help someone change their mind, or like help motivate them. Like actually had someone the other day tell me, like, because of you, I pursued my music career. Now she's working with Chris Perez, and she has a really nice song out. And like, I'm like, you really think that of me? She's like, yeah, dude. Like, if it wasn't for you, like, I wouldn't be as confident as I am now. And I'm like, wow. So like, if I can help a part of your story, or a stepping stone or domino effect, like, I don't know if that's considered, like, if you Google me, but just, you know, helping someone achieve their goals. I feel like I've helped a lot of people, you know, to some extent achieve their dreams and impactful, and do it big. Like, I don't know. That's a hard question.
Maybe it'll be a search through a party. Like, you'll search somebody, but you had something
be like
to
mob
do with
wife,
that person, something like that.
Head of cartel.
But you'd
kidding.
be surprised how, like, people be like watching, and you realize how much people are motivated by the things you do. Like, I had other people say, I started my this, I started my, I'm like, okay. But that's crazy to know that they're watching. I'm like,
people watch.
People watch.
People really see. I don't really pay attention to a lot of things. I get made fun of, like, oh, you don't, you know. But people do pay attention, and I'm sure you've gotten a lot of, like, and that always feels good when people, you know, voluntarily let you know, like, how they feel about you, or like you doing this, and it's like, bro, like, thank you for even telling me that, because you didn't have to, for one, and you're paying homage in a sense, and you're able to motivate yourself and be. You know, streamline that into your own success in your day to day. Like, and if I was able to be a part of that, like, thank you, because, you know, we all deserve not all of us, but we all deserve, you know, a good life, a peaceful life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, appreciate you for being here. Thank you very much.
You're
this
welcome.
was another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. There you go. Follow us. Thank you very much. And again, remember, we are just like you. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time. Thank you very much for checking out this episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. If you are enjoying the content and the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers so we can bring you more episodes, more channel. Go like, go subscribe, go write a comment. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
De la Vigo, walks like a pero but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana and reach from Puerto Rico. On a pirate ship, you don't know where do we go. The birds of the jungle chasing fortune and